The detention chamber was clinically cold, not by necessity but by design. Interrogation was as much about sensation as it was about truth. Cale Wren stood behind the mirrored panel, his arms folded tight, tail flicking once in quiet contemplation. On the other side of the glass sat a young human woman, dark-haired, motionless, arms relaxed at her sides. No restraints. No cuffs. She hadn't resisted. That unnerved him more than anything else. She hasn't spoken? Cale asked without turning. No, sir. No name. No affiliation. She gave up her weapon the moment she saw our colors. Just sat down. Cale frowned. And the scan? The security officer hesitated. Crashed. Twice. Biosigils overloaded the scanner. We haven't seen that before. Cale's eyes narrowed. He dismissed the guard and stepped through the autoseal into the chamber. The door hissed behind him. The woman didn't move. Cale dropped into the chair across from her, placing a holoslate between them. The faint blue flicker of her incomplete profile floated upward, blank fields across every metric. No name. No digital footprint. No planetary ID. Nothing. He watched her. Pale eyes. Sharp cheekbones. Calm in a way that made silence feel weaponized. You were apprehended on Nerith 9, Cale began. In a zone monitored by Council observation drones. You had no gear except a half-functional uplink chip, and you surrendered without a word. She said nothing. Cale adjusted the slate, flipping it into record mode. My name is Cale Wren. I serve the Galactic Intelligence Division. I'm not here to hurt you. But we can't ignore protocol. We need to know who you are, and what your intentions were on this moon. Her gaze lifted slightly. There was no challenge in her expression, only assessment, the same way a hunter might measure distance to its prey. Cale tapped a control on the side of the table. The room dimmed. A scanner projected a fine grid of red light over her body. It mapped her vitals, searching for implants, modifications, anything the slate could process. Then, the scan stuttered. The grid warped. The machine hummed low, then died with a snap. Static rolled across the slate. Cale's blood chilled. He tried to reboot it, nothing. The woman exhaled, slow and deliberate. Cale stood. Turn around. Still no words. But she obeyed, pulling her left sleeve down and away from her shoulder. It was there. A scar, curved like an infinity loop. Burned into the flesh, yet impossibly precise. The mark. Cale's instincts screamed. He stepped back, nearly knocking over the chair. That symbol, he had only seen it once, during a classified Earth war file shown during training. It wasn't a badge. It was a warning. If you ever see this, his instructor had said, do not speak. Do not run. Do not fight. You are already dead. The only move left is surrender. Cale swallowed hard. He reached out slowly, hands up. Where did you get that? She turned back toward him, pulling her sleeve up again. You already know. Her voice was soft, human, unthreatening. But it carried weight. Every syllable felt chosen, delivered like a final verdict. There are no active operatives from Earth's Ghost Protocol, Cale said. The marked were disbanded after the Unification War. Is that what they told you? She asked. Cale paced the room, trying to slow his breathing. Your name? She leaned forward, resting her arms on the table. I don't use it anymore. That's not an answer. It wasn't a question. He stared at her. This wasn't a soldier. She looked too young. Too quiet. But the room felt wrong with her in it. Like it bent around her. Like she didn't belong in any civilian registry because she had graduated from existence itself. You're not on any roster, he said finally. And yet here we are. Cale's thoughts churned. The Council would want this buried. The reappearance of a marked could destabilize half the RIM systems. Just her existence was a geopolitical hazard. Why show the mark, he asked. Why now? I didn't come to be found, she said. You were in my way. Cale blinked. What do you mean? I was headed for the crater. The place your drones are watching. You caught me before I could finish. Finish what? She stared at him. Then, for the first time, she smiled, just barely. Bury something, she said. Cale turned toward the glass. No one behind it now. He was alone in the room with her, and that was either a mistake or a test. He returned to the chair. There are only 3 explanations here, he said. 1, you're faking the mark. 2, you're a defector trying to draw attention. Or 3, you're one of them. A real one. A leftover. I don't fake things, she said. And Earth doesn't produce defectors. We were taught better. Cale stared at the mark. Legends surrounded it. Some said the mark didn't die, they just vanished. Others claimed they had tech buried in their blood that let them move faster than sensors could track. One story said a single mark had ended an entire siege without firing a shot, just walked into the enemy camp, whispered one sentence, and walked out. The entire battalion surrendered. The problem wasn't that Cale believed those stories. It was that he believed the ones they never wrote down. He leaned in. Tell me what happened at Nyrick Pass. Her expression darkened. You're not cleared for that. I don't care about clearance. I want truth. I gave truth when I walked in here alive. Cale felt sweat bead along his brow. The cold of the room was nothing compared to the cold behind her words. Why keep the mark, he asked. If you're retired. Exiled. Or whatever it is you are now. Because it's not a badge, she whispered. It's a promise. Cale's throat went dry. You think the mark makes me dangerous, she continued. But you're wrong. Cale frowned. Then what does? She leaned back in her seat. Eyes locked onto his. The fact I haven't used it yet. The room seemed to inhale and hold its breath. Cale stood, pushed the chair away. This interrogation is suspended. He walked to the door. But before it opened, he paused. What should I call you? He asked without turning. There was a long silence behind him. Then a name, spoken soft, almost like a memory being allowed one final breath. Ray. The door hissed closed. Cale didn't breathe until he was 10 paces down the hall. And even then, the image of that mark was burned into his thoughts, because he knew what it meant. Earth had been sleeping. But ghosts don't rest forever. Cale Wren stared at the secure terminal in his quarters, hands still. The footage had no audio, just the grainy silence of horror. 7 minutes. That's how long it took one individual, unregistered, unconfirmed, unidentified, to dismantle the Nyrick Pass forward base. Hundreds of troops. Dozens of auto turrets. Entire communication arrays reduced to embers. The camera caught only glimpses, flickers of movement, streaks of distortion, shadows twisting in impossible angles. In one flash, a figure walking calmly across the wreckage, fire painting their silhouette in gold. The mark glowed even through the smoke. Ray. He rewound the file again, watching the same scene. There was no mistaking her gait. Even in low-res, her presence pressed against the screen like pressure behind glass. Cale rubbed his temples. None of this was in the official logs. The Council's archive listed the Nyrick incident as an isolated explosion caused by unstable plasma crates. But now that lie cracked open, and she was sitting in his facility. Waiting. He returned to the chamber alone. Ray sat in the same position, calm, focused, as if still calculating his next question. Cale dropped a data chip on the table. You were there. Nyrick Pass. She didn't answer. I've seen the footage. That was you. Ray's eyes didn't flinch. Then why ask? Because I want to understand. How did you do it? The tech? The strategy? The timing? None of it matters now. Kale leaned forward. It matters to me. You're a myth. You don't exist on any ledger, yet you altered the course of the war. Entire fleets rerouted after Nyrek. The enemy surrendered without terms. Why? Ray's fingers traced the edge of the table. Because Earth didn't want the galaxy to know it was capable of extermination. Kale froze. She met his gaze. They saw us end wars. But they never saw what we were capable of if we stopped holding back. Why would Earth suppress its own power? Because fear works better than occupation. The galaxy imagines Earth's strength. It's more terrifying that way. Kale shook his head. But the Council thinks your kind are gone. Extinct. Ghost Protocol deactivated after the war. That's the illusion. How many are left? She didn't answer. Kale pressed. 10? 100? Thousands? Ray looked up. Enough. That single word landed like a weight across the room. Kale sat back. You were made to end wars, he said. But now you hide. We were made to prevent wars, she corrected. Ending them was just the fallback. A long silence settled. Kale studied her, but this time with less suspicion, more wonder. What is the mark, really? It's not just a brand. It's not ceremonial. No, Ray said. It's a contract. With who? Ourselves. The mark isn't given lightly. It's not earned through training or rank. It's accepted, after you've proven you're willing to do what no one else will, to win without glory, to disappear when the work is done. No politics. No medals. Just the mission. Kale stood. He circled the room, words tumbling faster now. Why come to Nerith 9 then? Why resurface at all? There's a satellite hidden beneath the crater, she said. A black beacon. Old Earth tech, pre-unification. Someone's trying to activate it. If it transmits, the galaxy will hear something they were never meant to. What? A call to arms. A mark recall. Kale stopped walking. You're saying Earth planted a recall trigger? Ray nodded once. And if that signal gets out? She didn't have to answer. Kale turned away, heart pounding. The implications were catastrophic. The return of even a handful of marked could unravel the entire balance of power across Council space. And that was without Earth officially declaring anything. This isn't just politics, he whispered. This is deterrence through extinction-level reputation. Ray added, that's why we vanished. Fear is stable. Presence isn't. Kale sat again. And yet you showed your mark. I had no choice. I was dying of exposure when your patrol found me. If I'd resisted, I'd be dead. The mark kept them from pulling the trigger. Smart? No. Instinct. Kale leaned forward. Tell me something. At Nyrek, were there survivors? Yes. Why? She paused. One of them dropped their weapon. Looked at me. Said, I have a family. I remembered I used to. You had a family? Still do, she said softly. Somewhere. I left before they could be a target. Kale's voice lowered. You didn't walk away from Earth. You buried yourself to protect others. Yes. He watched her in silence. Then he whispered, I was taught to hate humans. Feared, yes, but ultimately, savages. Blood-hardened monsters from a blue death world. Ray tilted her head. And now? He looked down at his claws. Now I think you are humanity's restraint. Not its rage. Suddenly, the wall console blinked red. Incoming Council directive, Level Z clearance only. Kale stood and tapped the screen. A short encrypted file played. Agent Wren. Subject 11482A has been identified as a galactic threat. Terminate within the next cycle. No trial. No trace. Full denial if discovered. Failure to comply will be treated as treason. Ray didn't react. She already knew. Kale turned toward her. Did you expect this? Yes. You're not going to fight? No. Why not? Because you won't do it. Kale stared at her. You're sure? You've already seen what I am. And you're still asking questions. He clenched his jaw. You're not afraid of death? She smiled faintly. The mark was never about fear. It was about choice. Kale stood there, caught in the gravity of her words. She wasn't pleading. She wasn't resisting. She had chosen her silence as a blade, and now she offered it to him, handle first. Kale turned off the console. Then I choose to. He exited the room without a word, locking the chamber manually. Not to trap her. To shield her. Outside, he summoned the guard. Prepare a falsified death report. Tell them she resisted. Her body was unrecoverable. The guard hesitated. Sir? Kale looked back at the door. No more questions. Just obey. Back in his quarters, he watched the old footage again. 7 minutes. And yet the galaxy was still trembling from that echo years later. He whispered her name, Ray. Not a soldier. Not a ghost. A fuse waiting for a reason. And now? He had just lit it. The rain came down hard on Nerith 9. Thick droplets streaked through the dense canopy like tracer fire. Kale crouched beneath the roots of a fallen jungle column, checking the pulse on his wrist module. Ray sat opposite him, wrapping her hands in cloth. She hadn't spoken in over an hour. You're quiet, Kale said. Ray tightened the cloth without looking up. I'm calculating how long before they catch us. Best estimate? 14 minutes. Kale adjusted his cloak, masking the thermal trace. Then let's hope you're wrong. Ray gave a faint smirk. I never am. They had fled the facility the night Kale faked her death, slipping through a maintenance tunnel and into the Nerith wilds. Their destination, the crater, a sinkhole the Council had long monitored but never approached. Beneath it lay a buried satellite. Ray called it the recall trigger. If it activates, she'd warned him, Earth's mark will awaken. And the galaxy will remember what it fears most. Now, they were 2 kilometers away, and already the jungle trembled. A rustle overhead. Kale drew his faceblade. Ray didn't move. The vines split. A sleek drop unit descended silently, black, multi-limbed, no insignia. Council Black Ops. Elite Assassination Protocol. Kale stepped forward. Ray didn't flinch. You can't face them alone, he hissed. I'm not. I'm not a soldier. No, she said, rising. You're something rarer. What's that? A witness. Then she moved. It didn't look like combat. There was no flourish, no wasted motion. Ray flowed. One twist and she disarmed the first unit before it fully deployed. The second dropped and fired, she was already inside its radius. Her palm struck the base of its helm, crushing the central sensor. It fell like stone. Kale watched, stunned, as she tore through the third and fourth units, disabling, not killing. Every motion was surgical. Measured. She was showing restraint. More descended. 10. Then 15. Ray turned toward Kale. Stay down. He obeyed. Her mark lit faint red. The air shimmered. With a pulse of gravity, the units stumbled, magnetic locks failing. Ray stepped between them, her body moving too fast for Kale's eyes to track. The jungle echoed with collapsing limbs and shredded circuitry. Then silence. She stood in the center of the clearing, surrounded by disabled soldiers. Kale emerged, stunned. You didn't kill them. I haven't been given permission. By who? Earth. They reached the crater's edge before sunrise. The sky opened above them, stars peeking through the cloud break. Ray knelt and wiped the mud from a carved stone. Kale stepped closer. What now? She drew a small, rusted panel from her satchel. This is the failsafe key. It was supposed to stay buried. But someone's been digging. She inserted it. Nothing happened. Then, the earth hummed. A low vibration passed through Kale's boots. Below, something ancient woke. A pillar of faint blue light rose from the crater's center, pulsing once. Signal's gone out, Ray said. To who? Us. In a council chamber across the galaxy, a screen flashed red. Unauthorized Earth signal detected. Origin, Nereth 9. Below that, a single word appeared. Awaken. In hidden locations across systems, on mining colonies, frozen moons, forgotten freighters, humans stopped. Their arms trembled. Some bore marks. Some only remembered. But all of them turned toward Earth. Back on Nereth 9, Kale stared into the blue column. What happens now? Ray didn't answer right away. Then, softly, Earth never wanted war. We just wanted to be left alone. But the galaxy kept knocking. So we built a wall of stories, marked legends, whispered truths. We disappeared. Let the fear speak for us. Kale turned toward her. And now? She faced him fully. The mark on her shoulder still glowed. Now they'll wonder if we ever left at all. A rumble split the air. Above, a Dread-class cruiser broke atmosphere. Council insignia. Heavy bombardment configuration. They tracked the signal, Kale muttered. Ray stood tall. Then they're about to make the same mistake. What mistake? Thinking Earth will answer with silence again. Kale drew his weapon. We can't fight that ship. We don't have to. She held up a beacon. A signal flare fired into the sky. For a moment, nothing happened. Then dozens of faint red pulses lit up across the jungle. Kale's eyes widened. Others? They were already here, Ray said. I just gave them a reason to rise. The cruiser fired. A single blast aimed at the crater. Mid-air, the beam bent. A distortion field swallowed the energy, redirecting it into the stratosphere. Ray didn't blink. We've been watching your weapons for a long time. Kale turned slowly. You knew they'd come. I was counting on it. Above them, the cruiser's hull fractured, static crackling across its shields. Then, another red beacon fired from the jungle. Then a third. A network of countermeasures surrounded the ship. The ship tilted, engines flickering. Then fled. Kale exhaled. Ray sat again, as if the moment had passed. Kale approached her. You said this wasn't about war. It's not. Then what is it? Memory. Kale blinked. I don't follow. You forget what fear really is when the thing you fear disappears. Earth let itself fade so the galaxy could live in peace. But peace became arrogance. You began poking again. Now we remind you what sleeps beneath silence. Kale sat beside her. I should report this, he said. You should, she agreed. But you won't. Why not? Because now you believe us. Kale stared into the crater's soft glow. Not as an interrogator. Not as an enemy. As someone who had seen what the galaxy was never meant to. He looked at her, this girl who wasn't on any roster, who didn't wear a uniform, who spoke softly and moved like gravity had chosen her. What happens to you now? She stood. I go where the next signal leads. And Earth? She looked to the stars. They've already heard.